Hello, Maneesh
Hello.
sir.
Yes, Sushma, can you hear me?
Yeah, sir. Actually, we will start at 10 o'clock, sir. We'll just do the initial stuff, testing
Okay.
and all that.
All right.
Okay,
I
we
just
can
need to
start at.
increase the volume.
You go to the this thing, sir. Webinar this thing. There will be
Audio.
audio button.
All right. So the audio is at full volume.
I think we are able to hear your voice, sir.
The voice is coming clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Can we just test the chat? Can you type something on the chat?
Yeah, 1 second, sir.
Yes. Got it. Got it.
Okay.
All right. So we just wait for the others to log in, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
got
yeah.
another
We'll
12.
just wait for another 10 minutes or 5. It's already 9:48 now. Another 10 minutes, we will just start the session.
Okay.
Exact 10, you can just start.
All right. Can you see me on the camera now?
Yeah, sir, we can see you. Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
actually, do you want video this thing, or you can just go only with the PPT? You can go. Video thing, you can.
Sorry.
Digital.
How do I get to the video audio?
Go to the. You can see that this thing icon or
No, not
the
an issue.
series kind of
I am
icon.
going to no. I'm going to show my face only in the first few minutes, couple of minutes, and then we're gonna
Okay.
shift to the PowerPoint.
Yeah, then that will be fine. Yeah. Okay, sir. I think your audio is clear. I think we can just start at 10 o'clock. And
All right.
everything is fine. Okay, sir. Yeah. Bye. Yeah. Hello? Hello, Manish sir? Hello? 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 Hello, Manish sir, are you there? Hello?
Right. Microphone volume. You are able to hear now? Okay. Chalo. Great. This is what I was wondering about. Okay. Chalo. All right. So just informing everybody. Yeah. I think. Okay. And yeah. People are not able to listen in. So I'll just start the chat just now. Okay. I'll share my desktop and start the chat. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, everybody, can you hear me now? All right, hope all are able to hear. All right, excellent. So we are now in business, everybody. Okay, great. All right, so welcome everybody. My name is Maneesh Konkar. Let me take a minute to introduce myself and take you through the session plan. So Strategic Sales Management is the company I started way back in 1999, and I'm basically a corporate trainer. I passed out of IMB in the PGP program in 1995, and joined ITC from campus. So I was selling cigarettes all across the country. Initially in Nagpur, initially in Delhi, then in Jammu, and then after that in Nagpur, handling Marathwada and Khandesh. I somehow didn't find the FMCG business too attractive as a salesperson, but then moved on, came back into my family business, started teaching part time. One thing led to another, and here I am. So today I'm a corporate trainer come consultant. Strategic Sales Management is the name of our company, and power negotiating is what we are going to talk about over the next 1 hour. So what's the agenda of the session right now? The agenda of the session is all right. Before we start, let me just give you an idea of what we're going to do now. I'm going to give you a quick introduction about the kind of work that we've done, and these are the three things that we will talk about in the next about 50-60 minutes or so. And yes, Vishal, okay, you don't need to activate your camera, so you can switch off your camera. All right. So importance of negotiation, developing a sound negotiating strategy, standard negotiating tactics and counter tactics, and then there is a special offer for all of you on our e-learning site. All right. So okay, how do I move hide video? All right. Okay, so these are the clients that we have worked with. We initially started in the IT sector with TCS, and subsequently have done a lot of work as consultants in BFSI, auto, consumer products, pharmaceutical, building construction, industrials, and of course our favorite sector nowadays, which is telecom. Now, what kind of work do we do? We basically do programs on all of these, which is that we do sales programs, which are basically of two types. One is a key account management program, which is for B2B sales. Then there is a channel management program, which is what we do for the HULs and the Godrej consumer products of the world. Power negotiating is what we're going to talk about today. We also do a program on leadership of high potential managers. This is not senior people. This is for middle level managers who want to go to the next level, which is the area manager, regional manager profile. And yes, we work with HR to develop performance management. All right. So let's start with our module on the importance of negotiation. Now, before I go further, I'd like to get a feel of what kind of industries are represented in the audience right now. Now I understand that there are, let me see, there are how many people now? There are 49 attendees. Okay, that's a large number. So what we'll do is then we won't go through the question answer thing. Okay, so I'll start the module straight away. All right, and we take our questions towards the end of the module or so. Right. So this is what we're going to do. Let's start with the importance of negotiation. Now, the first module. Okay, let's talk about why negotiating is important. Our power negotiating framework talks about preparation, even though it's the smallest in terms of the boxes size, is the most important part of a negotiating strategy. Then we open our positions, we indicate what we want, We try to understand from the other person what they want, do a little tactic and counter tactic over here in this stage with arguments and trade-offs. We effect compromises and then reach a documentation and agreement on win-win. Alright, why learn to negotiate? This is the story of most companies. What we are all trying to do is, if it's a 5 crore business, we're trying to increase it to 10 crores. If it's a 100 crore business, we want to take the division to 150 crores. And the methodology for most of us is that we try to increase volumes. Now, which means basically if someone is selling, if ITC is selling, let's say 10 million cigarettes, it wants to try and increase it to at least maintain it at 10 million cigarettes. Somebody else is trying to sell 100 boxes of something, he's trying to increase it to 110. What happens when we only increase volumes? Our sales which were 100 rupees, assuming selling price remains the same, sales goes to 110, costs which were 90 go to 99, and profits which were 100 minus 90, 10 rupees, now go to 11. So, a 10% increase in volumes simply results in a profit increase of another 10%. But let's take a different strategy. Let's say Samsung sells its mobiles at, let's say 15,000 rupees. It tries to increase its selling price while not focusing too much on volumes. Of course, we will do volume increase also, but let's say we try to increase selling price by 10%. What happens? 100 rupees of sales becomes 110. Costs remain 90, and the entire extra increase in selling price that we have obtained goes straight away to the bottom line, and therefore our profits tend to double. Now, where is this useful? Unless you're a Flipkart or a Amazon where your income is tied more to the valuation of the company, and therefore as an organization you're trying to increase your asset valuation. They say sales is vanity, profits are sanity, cash flow is reality. So any other setup, which since our incomes are based on a monthly salary, if you are in a salaried job, or if they are based on profitability of the business, which means if you're an entrepreneur, we should be worried about profitability. We shouldn't be worried so much about simply increasing the size of the business. So if I increase the selling price by 10%, and today over the next 45 minutes you will get a lot of ideas on how to do this, our profits straight away double. If you're in the automobile industry, your bought out component will be almost 60%. If I am able to apply the same tactics on the input side, I reduce my costs from 90 rupees to 81 rupees. My profits, again, the extra 9 rupees that I am able to negotiate with my vendors and on the raw material and the input side, my profits again double. And well, I should do B and C and my profits will almost triple. This is the reason why we need to focus on improving negotiation skills. Okay, as we discussed, most organizations out there, if you are at junior or middle levels, your income is based on a monthly salary or a bonus, and both of which are reduced on or dependent on the company profitability. Therefore, that's the importance of negotiation. All right, let's look at which industries are doing well on this. At IIM Bangalore, we learned the connection between price and volume in our economics classes. What did we learn? We learned that when price is reduced, what happens to volume? Volume tends to increase. And all of us conceptually believe that this is what is the situation. You look at cooking oil, we did some work with Cargill. Cargill as a company makes Gemini sunflower oil, nature fresh atta. I sell my product at 92 rupees a kilo. I increase my price from 92 to 95, sales drop 25%. And this is when the total household consumption for cooking oil is barely 5 kilos on a typical month, except during the festival season right now, where the consumption might go to 7 or 8 kilos or so. The amount on the budget, the impact on the home budget is negligible. Even then, we find that categories like cement, categories like steel, categories like cooking oil are extremely price sensitive, and therefore tend to follow this triangle path for the way people in the sales teams in these companies tend to negotiate. All right, but let's look at certain other different industries. Let's look at the automobile industry. The automobile industry is divided into various segments. So if we take auto, we start with the Nano and the Alto, which is the A segment. The average price would be 1.5 to 2 lakhs. We have the Wagoner, the i10, between 3.5 to 4.5 lakhs. We have the C segment, which is the Swift Desire, the Honda Amaze, at 6.5 to 7.5 lakhs. We have the Honda City, the Skoda, which is the D segment at 8 to 10 lakhs. And then we have the premium, the E class and the super premium class. Now standard economic logic says that the A segment should be the largest in volume terms. If you actually look at the data, you find that the largest is not the A segment, it's actually the B segment. Last so many years, the average size of the B segment out of the total car market, and in India the car market is growing at almost 10 to 15% every year, and we sell almost 3 million cars a year. We find that a full 60 to 65% of the market is the B segment market. What is the message here? The message here is that you don't have to be the cheapest product in the market to get the largest volume market share also. Is this unique to auto? And we are actually going in the direction of America, because this is not the behavior of a poor country. In a poor country, it follows the blue triangle that is at the back. In a developing nation and a developed nation, well, America, the Honda City and the Toyota Camry and the Honda Accord have been best-selling cars, right? Okay, so is this unique to auto? Well, not really. So we have a situation where in two-wheelers, mobiles, television sets, entertainments, air conditioners, LED lamps, we have the same situation. India's largest selling two-wheeler once upon a time was the Hero Honda Splendor. The latest data indicates it is a match between the Pulsar and the Honda Activa. Now the price of the Honda Activa is almost 60,000 rupees. The Pulsar is even higher. And you remember our good friends in Bajaj Auto actually moved out of the scooter market with an analysis that well, the market is not really growing. Again, we find that the cheapest two-wheeler in the market is not the volume cell. Same is the case with mobile, same is the case with TVs. Once upon a time, we used to buy 21-inch TVs, the Akai, the large CRT ones. The average price used to be about 14,000. Now it's almost 25,000, 30,000 is what we spend on a TV. Okay, so what's the learning from all of these examples? Well, market mein paisa hai. There is money in the market. But it is our negotiation skills, our ability to market, our ability to create a brand that determines how much of that money will come into our organization and into our personal pockets. So in the same mobile phone market, there is an iPhone which people are craving to buy at 75,000 and 1 lakh rupees. There is Samsung that sells between 15 to 40,000 rupees, and Micromax ki halat kharab hai even at 8,000 and 10,000 rupees. All right. So the idea here is that good negotiators make. Okay. So going back to our previous slide, good negotiators end up making a lot of profits. So Apple is a classic example, a hugely profit-making machine, and some parts of India are price sensitive, some parts of India are value sensitive. 10 years back, some people on this list were here. Now, how does this happen? This doesn't happen by itself. If Indians and consumers were leading this change, then all industries would behave in a particular manner. But simply because you find some industries on this side, and clearly value sensitive is how we want our industries and our products to be, then our actions with which we go out into the market, our negotiating strategies with which we go out into the market have to be different. Alright, what is that difference? That is what we'll talk about in the next part of our course, which is on developing a sound negotiating strategy. Alright, the first thing that we're going to talk about is that most negotiations tend to look at, most people tend to look at negotiation as a pizza being split up. So the minute somebody else gets a bigger piece, I end up getting a smaller piece. So today what we are going to talk about is that good negotiators don't just split a pizza. That is compromising. That is not negotiating. But what good negotiators do is try to increase the size of the pizza. They act for the long term, not just transactional. So they're not just interested in achieving their monthly targets or their monthly quotas. The assumption that they are making is that you never close a sale. You always begin a relationship. So it's not just a transactional one-off thing. ये deal हो गया, बस हो गया, ये महीने का target हो गया, बस हो गया, ये quarter का target हो गया, उसके बाद naukri.com. No, It's actually a long-term business orientation that people bring to the table. And the point is therefore that whatever you are hiding, the other party will eventually come to know of it. So how do we apply this in day-to-day behavior? Attitude of win-win is one of our most abused terms as MBAs, of course, along with holistic approach and paradigm shift. So let's talk about some examples here. All right. My father-in-law was the head of the projects division in Blue Star, and they once made a quotation to Reliance where they quoted about 9 crore for a large air conditioning order. Now the example that I'm giving you, and I'm beginning this session with an example of how even the most cutthroat of negotiators actually apply this principle, and that's what makes them great negotiators. They made a quote of 9 crores. They were called to meetings in Ahmedabad. The team took a morning flight, landed up over there. 10 o'clock they reached the Reliance office. They were kept waiting in the office till 5 p.m. in the evening. At 5 p.m., the head of procurement, the vice president procurement, calls calls my father-in-law and his team inside, and he was the head of the projects division, the vice president there, and he says, "You've quoted 9 crore. I want a 30% discount, but I'm quadrupling the volume that I will give you." Now, what would you do? You run, let's assume you are the head of the projects division. You run a division which last year produced sales of about 80 crores. Now, here is an offer that you are getting, 9 crore, 30% discount. So, how much is that less? Less 2.7 crores. So, let's say approximately 6 crores. Now, instead of 6 crores, I'm actually offering you a business of 24 crores, 4 times the volume. Okay? Now, what happened? What happened was the vice president procurement of Reliance says that I'll give you 15 minutes to say yes or no, and the offer stands for only for this time period. Back to the reception. Now, they couldn't contact the owners of the company at that point in time. So when they came back, my father-in-law said yes. And on the way back to the airport, he managed to contact the owner of the company, the owner of Blue Star, and he asked him, "Look, I mean, if you've given a 30% discount on the offer, on the price, what money are we really going to make over here?" So, so my fan says, 1 minute, 1 minute. I just need to pause over here. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Alright, cannot hear you now. Okay, Gitanjali. Alright, Vishal, you need to just mute your camera because we are getting your camera repeatedly. Alright, so sorry, I just looked at the question just now. So it's good for Bajaj to make a comeback in the scooter category. Well, that is for Rajiv Bajaj to decide. The point we are talking about is that if we had made a better product, things would have been a little the story might have turned out different. But I guess as a strategy, they decided to focus on the. Okay, can people hear now? I'm still getting a paused indicator. Sushma, how do I remove this pause? We can hear. Alright. Sushma, how do I remove this pause button from my? Okay, let me just remove this, sir. 1 minute. I'll just get back to sharing my desktop. 1 minute. Alright. Okay, so let's get back again. Alright, so I'll just come back to the Bajaj Auto example. Let me continue with the Reliance example. So what was the example? 9 crore ka business, 30% discount, 4 times the volume. Now this is an example of increasing the size of the pizza. Now, normally what tends to happen is that we tend to negotiate only on the right side of the menu card. Now, many of you would have been in situations where you quote $100 for your service and the other guy starts with $60. Okay. Now, what happens? Whatever discount you give, what will come out of your bottom line? Now, we looked at a situation where most companies are on 10%, 5%, 10% net profit margin, which means if you are giving a 5%, 10% discount, you are in one stroke actually wiping off all the profitability of your organization. Now, what is a better way? A better way is to say, सर आपका मान रखने के लिए मैं 2%, 5% डिस्काउंट दे देता हूँ, but after that you have to give me something. So if we can look at a higher volume, so instead of buying 10,000 units of a particular product, if we can work out a volume of about 25,000 units, I can discuss this and take it to my leaders, and let's see, and this is what, and then I can convince them that they should take up this offer. So what happened as a win-win in this particular example? Well, to complete the example, my father-in-law came back to Bombay. Next day morning, calls all his vendors to the office at 10 o'clock and actually does the same thing with his vendors that Reliance did with him. So he called everybody at 10 o'clock, kept them waiting in the reception till 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, he calls them inside and says, I want a 40% discount and I'm quadrupling the volumes. Same thing. Okay. What happened was that Blue Star ended up doing about 22 crores of business with Reliance that year, and for a division that was making about 80 crores per year. Okay, so that led to almost a 50% increase. Okay, increase in the volume. Okay, so this is what we are talking about, which is the difference between playing the game of splitting the pizza to playing the game of increasing the pizza. So how does one do this? One does this by doing multiple offers with different variables. So how do I do multiple offers with different variables? Price, volume, and payment terms is something that is applicable in all business situations. So what your procurement team tries to do, or are there any questions? No audio again. Okay, wait a minute. What's happening? Again, our audio seems to have disappeared. Are you able to hear? Some of you just type yes if you are able to hear. No, we can hear now. Okay, great. So let me get back. Yeah, I started hearing my own. See, I started hearing my own voice on the chat. Is there some setup to do that? All right, great, thanks. Okay, so let's continue. All right, so the first negotiating strategy that we are discussing is, do not negotiate on price alone, negotiate on multiple variables. And your strength as a negotiator lies in coming out and being creative with as many variables as possible, and then going back and forth in the form of trade-offs. So volume, price, and payment terms. So what most people try to do, and what most people try to believe is that, look, he's asking me for a discount, what can I do? What do you answer? You say, sir, आपका मान रखने के लिए मैं 2% discount दे देता हूँ, but can you look at higher volumes? Your standard payment terms will be 45 days. Your standard payment terms will be in certain parts of the automobile industry and in trading, it will be almost 75 to 90 days. Cash down, 3% discount is a pretty standard practice. 50% advance is what you can talk about. Now, we gave the example of Reliance, which is one of the best negotiators that you can find. This is what they tend to do. They tend to be tough negotiators, but they're also fair. Now, I know that comment may get a lot of unusual responses from everybody, but let's look at some other examples also. Take Bajaj Auto. We were vendors to Bajaj Auto. They came up with a 45-day payment term. After 3 months of starting business with Bajaj, I used to be an automobile vendor about 15 years back, and my family business used to deal with Bajaj and Telco, Tata Motors, Telco in those days. Now, what used to happen was the standard payment terms for 45 days. After 3 months, Bajaj says, if you want, you can take a cash discount, give us a cash discount, 2%, for every 15 days of early payment that you want. So we immediately started giving a 4% discount and started getting our money in 15 days instead of 45 days. The question that you might ask is, how did Bajaj Auto benefit by giving payments early? I mean, look at it this way. Okay, Bajaj Auto is one of the most cutthroat Marwadi companies out there. Marwadis are supposed to be the finest of negotiators. most people in the purchase department and in procurement believe in paying vendors as late as possible. And here is a company which is actually saying, I'll give you money in advance if you give it to me. Well, what was the benefit? Bajaj Auto is one of the world's most profitable automobile companies. Its profit margin is almost 22%. Now, all that accumulated profit is lying in the form of reserves. It has thousands of crores of reserves. As a public limited company, what can Bajaj do with its reserves? It can put them in fixed deposits. It can put them in overnight mutual funds. That's it. It can't really do options and futures trading with all that money. So that money earns barely 8 to 10%, 8 to 9% or so. Now what am I doing? I'm actually utilizing this cash pile that I have and negotiating 4% per month from my vendors. That's a rate of return of 48%. This results in far greater savings for the organization and actually is one of the key factors that leads to Bajaj being such a profitable organization. So you can give low prices, but if you balance it out with payment terms, with superior payment terms. So if you give low prices and very delayed payment terms, people will stop doing business with you eventually, or only the kachara will do business with you after some time. All right. Now look at the other. Okay, so price, volume, and payment terms are the three variables that we can play out with. Now let's see how creative we can get with this. We once got a call from a finance company, one of the largest banks in the country, where they said, "Look, Maneesh, we are using your services, but we don't know you. We'd like you to do a trial round for us, and we'd like you to do the trial round free, because the global consulting firms are doing the same thing, and they're doing it free." So we said, "Look, we are okay if the chairman of the company sits through the workshop, and I get a session which is I get a one sec, Vijaya. Okay, let me answer that question. The session is going to go on for till about 11:15 or so. Okay, 1 hour. 1 hour is the session. This is we got lost about 15 minutes in the beginning. We'll take it till 11:15. Okay. What's the time right now? The time is 10:40. Okay. All right. So price payment. Okay. So references is that you can ask for references from the client. And once I take a reference of the chairman of one of the largest banks in the country, I can take that reference to anybody else in the BFSI industry, and that's how it can be a win for me. So what is a trade-off? A trade-off is that I will give you a discount in price provided you give me more volumes. I give you a discount in price provided you give me better payment terms. In the automobile industry, people invest in molds. The customer subsidizes the machinery purchase. And what can be better than taking a loan from your customer itself? You get assured volumes after that. In Godrej Tyson, which makes finger fresh food, which is let's say French fries. Okay, French fries. I go to a Spencer's, and Spencer says, I try to sell my chicken, my real good chicken over there, and I quote 120 rupees a kilo, and Spencer's responds with 95 rupees. They say, I'll give you 95 rupees. They say, look sir, 95 rupees तो मुश्किल है, but 120 का हम 108 rupees a kilo कर सकते हैं. But I would also like some display space over here. This is a modern trade outlet. Nobody sells anything. The product is just there. Customer has to come and pick it up. If you don't give me display space, then I can't really sell my product. There's no point in only me selling the product to you. So display space is something which I negotiate with, and this is called adding a variable to the whole discussion, right? Okay, so this is our first tactic, which is that great negotiators don't just negotiate on price, they also negotiate on multiple offers, and they're pretty creative with all of these multiple variables. Let's look at the next. Okay, so this therefore talks about how exactly do I go around quoting. Now this has an impact. So what should be my quote? Well, let's take an example. You go to a grocery, a sabji wala. You buy aloo, you buy pyaj, you buy a whole lot of vegetables, and the bill comes to 115 rupees. The grocery wala says, sir, give me 115 rupees. You know what you tend to respond with? Sorry. You tend to respond with 100 rupees mein close kar do. The customer has a tendency to close at the next lower round figure. Now, therefore, if you quote, now, how do we apply this as consumer psychology? Think about it. Think about all the negotiations. If you quoted 11.5 lakhs for something, chances are the other fellow said 10 lakh mein close kar do. If you quoted 575, chances are the other guy said 500. Let's close at $500. This is pretty spooky. A lot of consumer psychology happens this way. So then we thought, why not we apply this in our day-to-day setups? So we were doing some work with a tile company, and my sales team used to quote 46 rupees a square feet to all the builders for a standard vitrified tile. So what did they do? We figured out all our builders used to revert back saying 40 rupees mein close kar do. So see what's happening. 46 rupees, 40 rupees. Now this is called, okay, this is called ZOPA. What is ZOPA? Zone of Possible Agreement. Now, when I quote 46 and the builder quotes 40, we have said to ZOPA, the negotiation will close in between some point on this zone. What is the worst that can happen? Meko 40 rupees to milega. Now, one of the worst things that we find salespeople doing is that they are the only ones quoting. So the other day we did some work with Pidilite, and they have a construction chemicals division which does waterproofing solutions. So they quoted 1 crore. Now first mistake, they quoted exactly a round figure. So what we talk about is, if you quote 46 rupees, the customer will have a tendency to bring it down to 40. But then we figured out who buys tiles in terms of per square feet. People buy tiles in boxes. So if I'm selling a box of 6 tiles, why don't I quote, instead of 46 rupees, I quote 276 rupees. The customer will bring it down to 250 rupees. Now see what's happening. 46 to 40 is asking for a 6 rupee discount on 40 rupees, which is a 15% discount. But 276 to 250 is asking for a 26 rupee discount on 250, which is almost 10%, which is just slightly higher than 10%. Extending the logic further, if I'm doing interiors of a bungalow, I quote 56,000 rupees. Guess what the customer has a tendency to turn around and quote? He says 50,000 mein close kar do. So your opening offer should never be a round figure. It should always be inverse of Bata price. Bata price 99 rupees 90 paisa, 19 rupees 50 paisa is Bata price. Flipkart does it all the time, Amazon does it all the time, but Bata were the guys who initially started it. So the opening offer should be Bata price. Coming to the next point, which is zone of possible agreement. This construction chemicals division quoted 1 crore for a hospital waterproofing project. The customer says, discount do, discount do, discount do. This company does a lot of internal negotiation. 10 days later, gives a quote of 95 lakhs. Now see what is happening. Again, the customer says, 95 lakhs nahi hai, bahut zyada hai, or discount do, or discount do. And what does the company do? The company gives a quote of 90 lakhs. Now look at the three mistakes that this company has made. First is that it has started and quoted a round figure of 1 crore. Second, so one should never quote a round figure, one should quote slightly higher than the round figure. The second thing is, no ZOPA has been set. First the company quoted 1 crore, then it's quoting 95 lakhs, then it's quoting 90 lakhs. The company is doing the incredibly stupid thing of negotiating with itself. Okay? What can be stupider than that? The third point is the concept of tapering discounts. The first discount, 1 crore to 95 lakhs. How much is that? 5 lakhs. The second discount, 95 lakhs to 90 lakhs. Again 5 lakhs. You are giving equal size discounts. What happens when you give equal size discounts? You're actually sending the message across to the other person. Thoda aur negotiate karo, main aur 5 lakh discount de dega. Sometimes we give increasing discounts. So 1 crore to 95 lakhs to 85 lakhs. What is happening? The customer is getting greedy. You're actually feeding blood to the tiger. What is the right way to give discounts? Tapering discounts is the way to go. So if you decide 1 crore, even assuming, let's say you give a round figure, and you decide your walkaway price is 90 lakhs, then you should give discounts where the discounts keep tapering as they go along. So 1 crore to 90 lakhs can go with 96 lakhs, 93 lakhs, 91 lakhs, 90 lakhs. This is called tapering discounts. Alright. So these are our tactics of two tactics that we have discussed in terms of what should be opening price. Now I'd like to make a point on risk minimization, which is that if you're in any setup, the idea is that you should not be dependent on any particular customer or any particular industry. So we did some work with a pharma company which gets 60% of his business from just 2 hospitals in Tamil Nadu. Now they asked us, how do we negotiate with these 2 hospitals? Well, we turned around and said, look, you can't negotiate with these 2 hospitals. None of the concepts that we are talking about are actually applicable to you because you don't have the courage to walk away from any of these businesses. Power in a negotiation comes when you have the ability to walk away. So how do I bring opening price into my, how do I operationalize the concept of risk minimization? Let us look at the industrial risk that a company may face. You might be a simple manufacturer of plastic tubes. You might be a hotel. Let's say you're doing 40%, 60% of your business with pharma right now. I make a vision for 2018 saying, I want to take my pharma exposure from 60% to 40%. And I want to increase automobile exposure from 5% to 20%. If Pfizer calls up and asks for a quote, you don't actually say no. But it's not part of your strategy to develop pharmaceutical business. So what do? You quote a little higher. So you adjust these positions of opening, ideal and walkaway position based on the risk minimization approach. But if today Bajaj Auto calls up and says, look, I want to do business with you, then you quote a little lower because what have you got? You want to do business with the automobile sector and therefore you keep your pricing low. So this is the third parameter that has an impact on what should be your opening price, which is that your risk minimization is a strategy that needs to be decided in advance. It is more important to grow slowly and steadily rather than to have lumpy growth. We see a lot of meteors in the business right now. They grow very fast and then they fizzle out after some time. Okay? Alright. So, these are the 3 points that we will cover in the risk minimization strategy. Let me just check question answers. Okay, so question answers. Okay, Vijay, this session is supposed to go on till about 11:15 or so. Okay, you got your feedback form over here. We're done with about half of the session right now. Let's now look at the next part of the session, which is standard negotiating tactics and counter tactics. Now, I have very quickly covered only 3 of the 7 tactics that we normally cover. The remaining 4 tactics are available on our e-learning course, and I'm going to subscribe you for free to that course. That's going to happen about 30 minutes later. So let's enjoy the rest of the session. The rest of the session that we're going to talk about is standard negotiating tactics and counter tactics. What is a tactic? A tactic is something which your procurement fellow does with you. A tactic is something which your customer does with you. Counter tactic is what you respond with. So tactic number 1, always ask for a little more than what you can hope to get. Let me take an example. You quote 75 rupees, your competitor quotes 100 rupees less 20% discount. He quotes 80 rupees. You've quoted 75 rupees. You might think 75 is a no-brainer, you will always get the business. You know what? You may not get the business. If you're talking to a procurement head, understand people in organizations, if you're talking to the owner of the company, it's a no-brainer. He will buy 75. But many times if you're talking to an employee of an organization, employees behave the way we pay them to behave. So, measure, strive, performance is what HR people tell us all the time. So, if I am measuring a procurement fellow based on the extent of discounts that he is given, you see, what does the head of procurement ask his procurement managers? Vendor के पहले quote से तुमने discount कितना negotiate किया? It's actually seen as a very macho thing to give, to negotiate, to pull down the vendor as much as possible. So, if you're not experienced in this game, you will have a tendency to quote 75 rupees and you think it's a very reasonable price. People should accept it just like that. But well, 2 reasons. If you are talking to procurement, they get evaluated by the extent of discounts that they've negotiated. The market is also spoiled by the fact that large parts of the construction industry give discounts ranging from 50 to 70% also. So when you quote, the least that they expect is some 10 or 20%. Now you can't change the market. Therefore, what you should do is your first offer should never be your best offer. That's one. Factor in 10%, 20% more and then give your first offer. The second point is, what do you do when somebody else quotes? Well, let's say you wanted 100 rupees as an ideal price. The customer says normally we pay 80 rupees for this. Swing an equal step to the other side of your ideal position. What does that mean? It means 100 is what you wanted, 80 is what your customer quoted. Let's say he quoted first. 100 minus 80, 20 rupees, 100 plus 20, 120 rupees. This is a counter tactic. Swing an equal step to the other side of your standard, of your ideal position. Now all this is fine if your ZOPA is reasonable, if you get what you want. What do you do if you get a ridiculous offer from the other side? Well, if you get a ridiculous offer from the other side, what happens? Let's take an example. Ridiculous offer is that Mahindra and Mahindra Kandivali plant. The union goes to the HR and says, sir, last year aloo was 10 rupees, today it is 30 rupees. Sugar was 10 rupees a kilo, today it is almost 25 rupees a kilo. Tur dal is 85 rupees a kilo. Give us a 300% increase in labor charges. What does the union do? Ridiculous first offer. How does the management respond? Respond with an equally ridiculous counter offer. So what does the management do? The management says, एक काम करते हैं, पूरा का पूरा factory बंद कर देते हैं. We will transfer all the production to Hyderabad. There is a plant of Mahindra in Hardwar. There is a plant of Mahindra in outside Zahirabad. Okay, 120 kilometers outside of Hyderabad. So they say we'll transfer the entire production over there. So what has happened? Ridiculous offer, ridiculous counter offer. Nothing happens for the next 15 days. Then the workers start saying, क्या तुम company बंद करने का बात करता है? So the management responds, तुमको भी शर्म नहीं आई कि ridiculous offer देते हो, तो बोलो ना कितना दोगे? So this is 30% तो देना पड़ेगा. Said नहीं, फिर 500 लोग निकालने पड़ेंगे VRS से. After a whole lot of fruits and vegetables discussion, a 6% increase in labor would be given and 250 people would be removed on VRS. This plant in Kandivali once upon a time had 10,000 people. Today it has barely about less than 3,000. So this is how one responds. Think of the most ridiculous offer that you have got. Maybe you quoted $100, your client started with $60. What can you see? Most of the time we get angry, we get emotional, we get personal. Sir, 60 rupees देना है ना सर, मेरे को नौकरी दे दो, मैं ही कर लेगा. नहीं तो मेरे को दे दो vendor वो, मैं ही खरीद लेगा. What you should do is simply transfer. Do what Kung Fu Panda did in the movie. What he does is he gumaos the whole thing and puts the offer back into the other guy's coat. Somebody starts with $100. He responds with $60. You say, sir, this is possible provided you give me 2 years advance payment. Now it's his job to respond. उसको शर्म नहीं आई to make a ridiculous first offer. तुमको क्यों शर्म आ रही है in responding to that first offer? Okay. All right. We can take questions a little later on this. Okay. Let's look at the next set of tactics. Higher authority. Higher authority is you make a big sales pitch to someone. When you exchange visiting cards, it said vice president on that guy's desk. After some time, you realize that you are talking to the senior most flunky in the company. Higher authority is when your other fellow responds, my boss will never agree to this. My board will never agree to this. This is a ridiculous offer. I cannot take this to my boss. My boss doesn't even know that his name is being used like this, but it's a pretty common thing. Now, many times, it therefore makes economic sense to not position yourself as a decision maker during negotiations, because then you can't use the higher authority. We've seen many small businesses write CEO on their visiting cards. What happens when you write CEO on your visiting cards? Straight away the procurement guy will say, Acha sir, mere ko 40% discount do. Because here is the senior most person in the company, he has the highest authority on making discounts. How do you respond to higher authority? You respond to higher authority with a own higher authority. Even if you are in your own business, you can always say, my directors will never agree to this, my partners will never agree to this. And you might be running a husband-wife startup, and your director might be, and your board meetings might happen with your wife over lunch and dinner. No one will ever ask you, very few people actually ask who are the directors in your company. So higher authority is responded to by responding with a higher authority of your own. Let's look at the next type. A version of higher authority is good cop, bad cop. Be very careful of good cop, bad cop whenever you are talking to two people on the other side. So what do you end up experiencing? You'll experience that there are, you'll experience, one minute. You'll experience, so we got, just making sure that I'm on track for time. We have about 15 more minutes to go in this session. So, all right, good cop, bad cop is a version of higher authority where one person plays the good cop and the other person plays the bad cop. So, what does the bad cop do? You send a quote of, let's say, $1 million for a particular negotiation. The guy says, what nonsense are you talking about, man? We can buy this for $600,000. That guy is playing the bad cop. Maybe he makes a big scene. Maybe he shouts. Maybe he yells. Okay, maybe he says, look, I'm talking to 10 other vendors. He taunts you. He gets personal with you. How many years have you been in business? Do you really have a quality certification? Do you have GST certification also? These are standard insults that are given by large companies to small businesses or sometimes to salespeople. Good cop, bad cop. Can it be managed? Okay. One thing is, the first thing that you have to understand is, think of the most insulting experiences that you have had as in negotiation. Now, what I'm going to tell you is that you are taking it personally. You're not. It's a game. Understand that there was a game being played with you. You got played like a piano, and you are the piano. Point out the tactic. Introduce a bad cop of your own, real or imaginary. A variation. Point out the tactic. Somebody says, look, we can buy this at $600,000. Sir, I understand you are playing this good cop, bad cop routine with me, but here is the googly that you can give. The googly that you can give is, sir, actually you are doing it all wrong. And you immediately find the other guy taking a bait. Now the way it's supposed to be done is that the senior guy is supposed to play the good cop. The junior guy is supposed to play the bad cop. Now this flies against conventional logic. In police interrogations, you always see the senior guy playing the bad cop. But what's the advantage? Okay, the advantage is that when the senior guy plays the good cop, the junior guy continues to get the respect of the vendor because of his behavior. The senior guy continues to get the respect because of his designation. What does that mean? It means when you go with your boss, you play the bad cop, your boss plays the good cop. When you go with your team member, you play the good cop, your junior plays the bad cop. So this is good cop, bad cop. Let's go further. Personal attack. Personal attack. Do you have GST registration? तुम्हारा quality certification है क्या? Do you even have an office या घर से ही operate करते हो? Personal attacks. You Indians are so lazy. Counter tactic is point out the tactic. Sir, that was a very rude statement that you made. Agree with the feeling, not with the statement. What are feelings? Anger, frustration. Sir, I understand your frustration. I believe you have dealt with multiple vendors like me, of my size, and I believe some of us have let you down because of our quality, our lack of orientation towards quality. However, we are not like that. I do agree with you that many other vendors of my size are not so oriented towards quality and processes, but try us out, we are different. So the whole idea is to not take a personal attack personally. Alright, the next point, discount now and we will give you larger orders later. This is a pretty common tactic. This is, पता ना गब्बर सिंह के पिस्तौल में 3 गोलियां थी, परचेज के पिस्तौल में this is the first गोली. Give us a discount right now and we will give you large orders later. In the meantime, you will find their biodatas are floating around in Naukri.com, but they still go around making offers like this. So how do you respond? You're supposed to protect yourself. So what do? You buy staggered discounts, meaning what? You buy 10, get 1 free. So let's bill $100,000. For the next $10,000, I will bill you only a token amount of $1,000. So staggered discount is that you get the volume commitment, okay, and give the discount only when the volume commitment is being met, right? Okay. Standard negotiating tactics: reluctant seller, reluctant buyer. Sometimes, as on the selling side, we tend to chase the customer too much. Many times we put ourselves down by the way we ask for simple things like meeting. So sir, आप मेरे को कभी भी बुला लो, I will always be available. You can call me anytime. So a more smarter way is to not show your desperation to the customer. So how does one do this? Sir, how does your calendar look Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning? Your own calendar might be totally free. You're available all the time, hardly any meetings. But there's a point where you don't have to communicate your desperation. So how do you handle reluctant seller, reluctant buyer? You tend to do the same. The next, okay, what seems to be the question here? In Cadbury, an example. of negotiation. It started with 39. After it was successful, it reduced its price to 35. Or is this an example of pricing as the volume of product was rising because of huge consumption? No. Well, okay. This could be different. This could be multiple reasons for this. There could be a competition. There could be competition that is coming in, or there could be a target pressure. So we saw many times companies will have a volume target. They want to keep their factories busy. They may also have a profitability target that starts coming in after 6 months. So a lot of companies price themselves a little higher, skim the market first, and then as the product settles down, their own supply chain settles down, the vendors get set, the pricing strategy gets set, the branding gets set, they tend to reduce prices later on. Alright, I hope I answered that question. Okay. Alright, continuing, constant grinding, asking for more and more. What is this? Constant grinding means the customer agrees, okay, done, sir, we will do business next 1 year, we will give you 40 days of consulting. Done. Next day, the customer calls up and says, yeah, actually there is a small problem. I said, what? So वो आपने 30 days payment term डाला है. We don't give 30 days. Normally we give 60 days. What can be done about it? So your heart sinks. After some time you say, चलो yes, okay sir, देख लेते हैं 60 days कर दो. 2 days later again the customer will call up. You have said GST extra. Actually we take inclusive of GST prices from everybody. It's becoming very difficult, sir. The client will not pay this. Our finance department will never agree to this. Then transport. You have written transportation extra, but now you know what, we generally expect the vendor to only give the transportation. So see what is happening. Okay, what is happening is that your initial price, which was say 100 rupees, now you had said 100 rupees plus transport extra plus taxes extra plus payment term 30 days. Now payment term 30 ka 60 days ho gaya. 1.5% is gone from your margin. Transport costs are 2%. Another 2% is got in the margin. But now you are emotionally committed. So constant grinding, asking for more is something that we need to be very alert with. What do? You say trade-off. Sir, very good actually that you are saying 60 days hoga, but then you need to give me volumes which are at least twice of what you are giving right now. So ask for something and immediately start tapering the discounts. Okay, next set of counter tactics is this issue of low budget. Now whenever people say we don't have a budget for this, most of us get very scared and start dropping our prices. There is a set of different things. So what exactly is the budget that you have for this? How did you arrive at this budget? Most of the time budgeting processes are pretty standard back of the envelope calculations in most companies. Explain value, talk to someone of higher authority. You will find an assistant manager having a budget of 50,000 rupees, you'll have a manager having a budget of 1 lakh, you will have a assistant general manager having a budget of 5 lakhs. Talk to someone of higher authority, scale down the specs to match the budget, adjust on some other variables, share costs. Okay, so these are tactics that we talk about. Alright, so I guess we got about 10 more minutes to cover in the entire program. Let me take, okay, let's take this last one and then we'll throw the dice open for questions. Competitive comparison. What is competitive comparison? Your competitor is giving 60 rupees. You quote 100 rupees, your competitor is giving 70 rupees. How do most of us respond? Most of us, okay, now here, what can we do? Sir, actually, you know what? I know suppose you say something like this. I know our prices are somewhat high, but you know what? My leaders don't agree. They think purchase sirf tumko ullu banata hai. If it is possible for you to share that quote with me, I will take that quotation to my leaders and try and get better discounts for you. Now, two things can happen. One is that your customer will never give you the quotation also. Why? Because 9 times out of 10, it's a topi, it's a smoke screen, there is no competitor quote. But on the 10th occasion, when there is a competitor quote, and if you ask politely, mind you, the whole idea is not to challenge the customer over here, but to politely ask for proof. We ensure that it is an apple-to-apple comparison, okay, and then trade-offs. You will be surprised. You will find that it is not an apple-to-apple comparison. The customer may have given a price which is 70 rupees, but he would have given a payment term which is 100% advance. Nobody will tell you that 100% advance payment term was there. So you actually come to know how your competitors are quoting, which is something very difficult to find out, and there are of course learnings over there. Alright. Last tactic, I am your friend, usually happens over drinks. So after 4 pegs with a customer, after you close a deal, but before the purchase order is issued, the customer will say, "Chalo, let's go out and celebrate." And you will get you will get drunk and you will have 4 pegs, and the customer will politely ask you, "So how's business?" And you will say, "Sir, kya batao, sir? Kuch nahi hai. Aapne bacha liya. You saved me. Otherwise, market is down. There hardly any business happening." You will notice the customer is not drinking. He is listening very carefully. Next day morning, he comes in and says, "Yeah, you know what? There's a problem. I need to, we need to revert back. This quote, my business head, he's a very painful guy, but he's not agreeing to this." So he uses good cop, bad cop, along with a combination of "I am your business friend." So probe and be on guard. Okay, so I guess it's time to throw the guys open for questions. So we've got about 5 more minutes in the session, so let's take that. Okay, let's take that. I'll share this meeting. I'll share this PPT with you. Here is the offer for everybody. Please go to this website right now. This offer is available only for the next 2 hours. So, okay. All right. So can we have questions on the chat? Okay. We have about 10 minutes for the questions. 5-10 minutes. Just type out your question, or perhaps we can activate your mic also. Okay, while the questions are being typed out, everybody please log into our website, which is strategicsalesmanagement.thinkific.com. This is our e-learning site. There are multiple courses on this site. Because you have participated in today's course, which is Power Negotiating 101, we are giving you a free access to this course, lifetime access. What you have to do is click on the dollar option. There is a dollar option and there is a rupee option on the landing page of the course. So you have to go to the course Power Negotiating 101, which is the first course on the home page. All right, let me show you the home page right now. So this is our home page. Click on Power Negotiating 101, do view course, and you will come to Alright, you will come to a view course thing. Let me just open the PowerPoint again. Yeah. Click on the dollar option, buy $99. Okay, and you will need to register your account with a LinkedIn, either the LinkedIn or enter your name and email ID, and then you will be taken to a payment page where you will have a coupon in green. Okay, this will be in green. Check it out. Okay. Have a coupon in green, enter IMB offer, and you will get 100% discount. There are some social sharing buttons on the site. Please log into those social sharing buttons and share this page with your friends. All right. Okay. Any questions? What must be the pricing strategy for a new startup for software products? Okay. All right. The first thing that you must get up is your first objective is to survive as a business. Growth comes secondary. So the first objective, now survival can be 2 things. One, if you are a funded startup, then survival is a function of getting X number of eyeballs or X number of registrations on the site, so you can actually give your product away free, a very basic version of the product free, and then start charging. Your first objective is to drive usage of the site. If you are a self-funded startup, then it makes sense for you to stay small, go to large customers, B2B customers, actually the biggest in the business, and get some marquee logos. Which means if you get an IBM, you get a Microsoft, you get a Hindustan Lever, Airtel, and say that yes, this is what is my product, and my product is actually being used by Airtel, then you can go to other players in telecom and say, look, Airtel is using my products. So you can actually give it at a very low price to Airtel, and then you will then start making your profit from from the other customers. So this is your answer, the answer to the pricing strategy. All right. Any more questions? We went from 59 to 60 students just now. I mean, somebody logged in just now, right? Okay, so this is my, so does that, alright, how to price for the category creators startup as there might be less competitors to refer. Vijay, you'll have to explain your question. Sushma, can we activate Vijay's mic so he can ask the question verbally?
1 second, sir. Let me try. 1 second. Is it Vijay Kumar L or who, sir?
1 minute.
There are Vijay Kumar L, Vijay Kumar. 3 are there.
Vijay Kumar, there are 3 Vijay Kumars. Vijay, can you type out your full name on the chat so Sushma can also see it and we can activate your mic? Okay, while Vijay does that, let me ask Pratibha, can you repeat the good guy, bad guy concept? Okay, alright, so the good guy, bad guy concept is that whenever you're talking to 2 people, you talk about, when you talk to 2 people, you will find that one of them behaves very politely and assertively and friendly with you. The other guy tends to be very aggressive. Now, what I want you to understand is that this is a part of a design. It's not as if one guy is very nice to you and the other guy is a pain in the backside. It's that this guy is, they are actually playing a game. The whole strategy is to put pressure on you by one guy being aggressive, but by still maintaining the relationship so that you give that discount. So that's good cop, bad cop. How do you handle it? You point out the tactic. You say, sir, I understand you're playing this good cop, bad cop routine with me, but henceforth, whatever you say, I will attribute it to the other person also. The second is, what you can always do is bring a bad cop of your own. So you say, my boss will never agree to this, my investors will never agree to this, my partners will never agree to this. I am also answerable to people in your own in your own industry, that kind of thing. Okay, adding a variable, you spoke about adding a variable other than pricing. What all variables can there be there? Okay, price, volume, payment terms, packaging costs. See, what you can do is, if you're getting a product, add a service component to it. If you're selling a service, add a product component to it. So I sell training services. What do I add a product in? I add access to my e-learning course. I give books. I give my own books free. If you're selling a product, say you're selling a laptop, add in a 1-year annual maintenance contract. So, and then what you can do is, once you have 7-8 parameters on the, you can add a free test, you can add a free on-site consultation 1 month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, and and then trade-offs is that the negotiation on the right side of the menu card is barely 2 to 3%. After which you start knocking off the parameters on the left side of the menu card. So, first choice, when I bought my used car from Mahindra First Choice, they said, look, they sold me a Honda City for some 7.5 lakhs, and they said, we'll give you 2 years warranty free. I got the price down to 6,75,000. I said, I don't want the warranty because I know it's a Honda City, nothing happens to the vehicle, right? Okay, so Uma, please share your experience of having a very tough negotiation. Well, there was an IT company that we dealt with recently, and but I'll give you an example. See, why are people tough? People are tough because their industries are going through trouble. So right now, for example, the entire telecom industry will be a tough negotiator. It's not actually making any money. So there is huge pressure on everybody in the telecom industry to bring down costs, and the vendor costs are the easiest to bring down. You don't have to, you just have to take a firm stand. So sometimes toughness in a negotiator is a function of the industry situation. Sometimes it is a company situation. For example, when Siemens was making a 500 crore loss, there was massive pressure on everybody in Siemens to bring down costs. Now here the solution is what we discussed in the risk minimization approach. In general, it makes sense to do business with people where their industries are doing well and the company is doing well. They will not be so price sensitive. They will be more value sensitive. So ICICI Bank was a great place to work with till 2006. But after Chanda Kochar comes over, the organization starts looking at cost cutting. It starts focusing on profitability. And yes, a whole lot of people didn't get the prices that they experienced. Okay, best tactic to use, JS Krishna. Alright, I think this will be the last question that we will take. So what's the best tactic to use when your vendor operates in an area of minimum competition is practically a monopoly? Okay. You should develop an in-house capability to do the same thing simultaneously. That will make sure, so Mahindra and Mahindra used to buy a particular part from a French company, and what they told the French company was that look, we're going to buy this part now, and simultaneously they also got into a technological agreement with a German company to start manufacturing the same plant, the same part. Now that was done purely to keep the original vendor in check. There was no actual plan to start doing that. But this is how you can handle monopoly. Our negotiating power in a monopoly situation is very low. So the solution is to actually get out to develop an alternative as quickly as possible. The second point is you should just buy out that monopoly company. That's more a strategic strategic answer. Okay, price negotiations with my clients include requests to share sensitive parts of the technology, mostly to either steal tech or further bring down the price by saying anyone can do this. What's the big idea? How do they counter it in relation to a hardware technology startup here? All right. Non-disclosure agreements is one. The second is you can straight away say no. Or what you can do is quote a much higher price saying that this is what we can do if you want us to share this particular technology with you. So you just quote extra. It's called deterrent pricing. Yeah, I once shared a training program with an IIM Ahmedabad professor, and you had this IIMA professor who was who was an expert on futures and options, and the kind of work that he was doing was a simple finance for non-finance kind of a program. So I asked him, how did you end up doing this workshop? So he said, have you heard of a concept called deterrent pricing? The deterrent pricing is that you quote a ridiculously high figure, not because you actually want to do the sale. It's actually because you want to deter the other fellow from actually buying from you. You don't want him to ask that question. So, but the danger you run is you make sure your deterrent pricing is actually a deterrent pricing. If the customer says yes to that deterrent pricing, then you have to share your technology. But then there's no harm over there, because in the technology field you are actually, if your R&D setup is very strong, in any case 3 months later that technology is not worth too much. Okay, I guess Sushma, how much time do we have? Yeah. How much time do we have? Because the questions are coming in. Tell me how much.
Okay, there are more questions, is it, sir?
Yes, there are more questions. Let me.
I think you can go and tell. Yeah, it's okay. You can
okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's take Ashwin's question. Price negotiations with my client include requests to share. Okay, we answered this. Anyone can do this. Let's take the Bajaj example from Gitanjali. Gitanjali, let me just go ahead. Let's take others also. It's up to them, stopping them to make a comeback in the scooter category. No, okay. If you listen to, all right, let's hear what Bajaj is doing. If you do a YouTube search on Rajiv Bajaj videos, you'll come to quite a few videos where there's one particular video where he has spoken as a keynote speaker in an ASCOM summit, where he has actually listed out his strategy for Bajaj. He said, look, the scooter market is millions of vehicles. The two-wheeler market is also millions of vehicles. So we can't be number one in both. So we'd rather be a small player, a big player in one particular segment. And Bajaj decided a few years back that they would want to focus on the motorcycle segment. So that's the strategy. We have taken that example more in the context of that if your product has value, the customer will pay for that value. That was the idea. So in scooters, clearly technologically wise, Bajaj scooters weren't at the top of the ladder. They weren't perceived to be a high quality vehicle. In fact, there was a joke that Bajaj engines will never go into an aircraft because you always have to tilt a Bajaj scooter to start the vehicle. For those of us who have done that in the past, you can't tilt an aircraft engine. So therefore, the Bajaj engine never went into aircraft. That was the joke. But this was more a strategy example from Bajaj's point of view. But I guess from our point of view as negotiators, if your product is good, you will find a way to communicate the value of that product, and that's how the customer will pay you extra money for it. Okay, so let's get back to our to our thing. This is our site. So this option will be open till today. You've got another 10 odd hours, 12 hours to log into this and use this offer. Okay, and yes, since you've got the free offer, please help us reach out to more people. If you need corporate training for your company or for your team of people, do let me know. My mail ID is Maneesh@direction1online.com. I am based in Mumbai. This is my mobile number, and yes, okay, and feel free to get in touch with me. Okay, thank you very much.
Sushma here, sir.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, Sushma.
Sir, you can just share that website link in the chat window, sir, so that anyone can copy paste. That website, okay. You have to put in this thing, no? So you can just copy paste into the chat so that they can copy paste and use it.
Okay, I'll do that right now. Okay, so this has gone to everybody, or is it gone to only you?
So you have sent to chat with all the attendees, no?
Okay, wait. I have to send to host, presenter, and
all
panelists,
attendees.
right?
No, all attendees, sir, you have to select.
I have to send it to all participants. Okay, participants.
Yes.
All right. So to all participants, strategicsalesmanagement.thinkific.com. You have to buy the course. Let me just share this whole thing over there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you have to do is you have to create an account. You have to click on the course Power Negotiating 101, create an account using LinkedIn or enter your name, first name, last name, and email ID. And then on the payment page of the dollar pricing, you have to apply the coupon IMB offer, all small. And you will get a 100% discount for the course. Okay, everybody, I think that concludes the Power Negotiating webinar. So thanks a lot, Sushma. Thanks a lot. I am Bangalore, and thank you all. Thank you all participants for being very patient listeners. You know where to. I'll just put down my contact details also on the chat, and and you can.
So one request to all participants. There is a feedback form on your chat. Please go and fill it. No, it just takes 5 minutes of yours.
Sure. So everybody, please give us the feedback for how we did. Okay. So we'll fine tune the tech issues a little. We'll be getting the tech issues sorted out as we go along. On the content side also, if there's something more that you want, do let us know. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay. All the best. Enjoy your weekends.
Thank you, Maneesh sir, for taking a wonderful webinar. Thank you very much on behalf of alumni. Yeah. Thank you all participants who joined this, and I hope you have got all the things in your chat what sir said. So please go to the website and register. Okay. Thank you all. We'll just close the webinar now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sushma, close it, huh?